Hi, I'm Jessica Kurgo. I'm here with Walpole's Town Clerk Elizabeth Gaffey. Hi Liz, thank you for joining us today.
It's wonderful to be here.
Tell me about your professional background and what your career path looked like before you became town clerk.
So I've been with the town for 22 years, and I started out in the water department, and I slowly kind of moved around from department to department, one of them being as the customer service rep in the town clerk's office. Then I moved over to building inspection and then became the assistant town clerk, and then was appointed to town clerk. So I've had that position now for 5 years. 5 years.
Excellent, thank you. And can you tell me about what the town clerk's office does in Walpole?
So the town clerk's office is responsible for like 5 major functions that we do. So I am the chief election officer, the record keeper or the recorder as in town meeting. I am a registrar for the vital records, births, deaths, marriages. Public records office, I'm a public records officer. So if you put in for freedom of information, that usually goes through my office or departments that have that information, and then we make sure that it gets settled. And then we're also the licensing for people who want to open a business or for licensing your dog, which is required by law every year.
Great. And can you describe some of the different issues or questions that residents might have with which the town clerk's office can help them?
Sure. Every year annually is the town census. So we mail that out. Everybody should have received that. That's very important because it's important for the Chapter 90 funds, which is to improve streets in the town. It's important for school enrollment to know how many people live here, how many students that we're talking about. It's important for your voter registration. If you don't answer your census, you have the possibility of being removed from the voter rolls. The other thing is that if you had a question for, do we have your birth certificate, do we have a death certificate, or your marriage license? For births, it's if your parents were living here when you were born, we will have your birth certificate. It's both located in the town that the hospital is in or where your parents resided, then we will have that. For your death certificate, again, if you were residing in Walpole at the time of your death. And for marriages, it's where you fill out the intention. So everybody, they forget, but you do apply to get married, and that's what we call the intention. So once you fill that intention out, that lives in Walpole. So we will always have your marriage certificate. Even if you filled out your paperwork here, but say you got married down the Cape, Walpole will have your marriage certificate. It's where you filed for it. The other thing we do is the business certificates. It's a doing business as. People need to get that if you're a small business or if you are a big corporation and you're a franchisee. So you'd have a parent company, and then you would have, you are doing business as under an LLC or a corporation. So we would license you there. We also take care of registering you to vote and also running the town elections. So we have the nomination papers, and we have all the information needed for if you wanted to be even an RTM, if not a townwide office. We also do the dog licensing, which is annually. The license does expire at the end of the year. We give you to March 1st without a late fee. This year we extended that a little bit because we got into re-precincting and moving the lines. So we gave people an extra month for that. My office also takes care of town meeting. If you had any questions about the warrant, which the warrant is a fancy name for what we're going to discuss at town meeting, and that happens twice a year. We have a spring town meeting, which by charter is the first Monday in May, and it's the third Monday, for the fall town meeting, it's the third Monday in October. So that's what we do. Usually those are the questions that we have. Always, if you're hearing something outside and you question the validity of that, you can always call us, because we'll let you know how it really is.
Great. Can you provide some explanation behind the altered precinct lines in Walpole and the effect that they'll have on the upcoming town election?
Right. So Walpole, every 10 years, the federal census gets involved. We do an annual census every year. So for the federal, that's when the lines could possibly be moved for congressional, counselor, and the House of Representatives. So with that, with the federal census. They were out. It increased our population by about 1,800 residents. So the lines did move. So what does that mean for the Walpole town election? For the town election, it's still 8 precincts. We did not gain one, we did not lose one. For the state elections with federal offices, we have 3 sub-precincts. We have a 2A, a 5A, and an 8A. So with the census that I was telling you about previous, on that came not only an application to apply for your dog license, but also a letter from my office letting you know to please check your top left-hand corner of the census to let you know what precinct you are in if you moved. So you will see it to make people get a little bit more comfortable with that. At the town election, as much as it's still going to just be 1 through 8 even, I will put on the ballots 2/2A, 5/5A, and 8/8A so that you get accustomed to seeing those numbers and letters. So it's a small amount. It did move. It's going to affect the RTMs that are running, but if you're an incumbent, you have a letter of intent that you can just sign to get back on the ballot without needing to get 25 signatures. So what it does is those lines moved in 5 of the 8 precincts. So 5 of them, all the RTMs in those precincts need to run this time, and precincts 1, 7, and 8, no line change. So it's just those whose terms were up this time will have to run.
Can you go over some important dates for the upcoming election?
The last day to register to vote, which will be Friday, May 13th, and the office will be open 8 to 8 on that day.
Who is eligible to vote absentee in this upcoming election, and how can they do so?
So absentee voting is allowed for 3 reasons, and that is for a physical disability, you're going to be out of town, or you have religious beliefs. So for those 3 reasons, you can apply for one. The application is online on our website. You can just write it simply down on a piece of paper and mail it to the town clerk's office that you want one. You could email, if you sign it, scan it, and send it to us. What we need is a signature that says that you're looking for it. So any way you want to get that to us, we could get you an absentee ballot. We would send it out.
What should Walpole voters be prepared for this upcoming election? And do you have any recommendations as to what they can do to inform themselves ahead of time?
Things you want to know. You want to know where your polling location is, especially if your precinct has changed. One of the glaring changes that I really wanted to bring out was Neponset View Terrace, which used to vote out of Precinct 3 at Blackburn Hall, is in Precinct 7, which will be at the Fisher School. So you can go to our page on the town clerk's website. So you can go to walpole-ma.gov. Under departments, you would choose town clerk. On the left-hand side, there's a lot of blue boxes. You want to hit the one that says election information. Then you're going to click on the 22. It'll say 22 annual town election information. And on that, you will find links of know where you vote, are you registered to vote, did you want to apply for an absentee ballot. All of those are there. As time gets closer, after the nomination papers that we've received them in, all after that the deadline of Friday the 15th by 5, we will then start to get a ballot together. The ballot will be posted online so that you can take a look at where it is. All the candidates that are running currently that have returned their papers are also located on the website. You could see that. And there's the election calendar so that you can see the same dates that I already spoke to you about. So all of those, you can access all of that through the links that are there. And you can see both what offices are available townwide and for representative town meeting members. If it's hard for you to navigate the town clerk site, you can always give the office a call, 508-660-7296. Anybody in my office will be happy to help you. It's a great staff, very friendly, not a problem. Actually, we prefer you to call us because that takes care of any myths that are out there. We'll just give you it straight how it's supposed to be. So any information that you want, anything we can mail to you, we can. You certainly can request an absentee ballot application, and we could mail that to you as long as you mailed it back to us. We would get your absentee ballot, especially if you don't have a printer, you can't download something, or you don't have that piece of paper at home. We can take care of you that way. Again, it's important to make sure that you know before you go. And we have those links on that website, so you know your polling location, so you know what precinct you're in. If you don't have access to a computer, or that seems to be an issue for you, call us. We'll look it up. We have no problem telling you where you're going to vote and what precinct that you're in. It's very important that everybody pay attention to that, because the lines did move, and you want to make sure you're still in your precinct or what your new precinct is.
And can you speak a little bit to the importance of local elections like the one we have coming up here this June?
Sure. So the local election is where you're able to affect more change than you realize. It's important to know where we don't have open town meeting and we have a representative town meeting for our legislative body, that you pay attention to who's running, and that you take care to see that they're making sure any questions or concerns that you have will be addressed by your RTM member, for short. And they are usually somebody in your neighborhood, but it's done by precinct. There's 150 of them. Every February, I do an apportionment to make sure that the town is even with that. You should take a look at who wants to run and find out where they are, and just even say hello to them. See if they're knocking on your door because they pull nomination papers this time. Or is it somebody who's always been in one? We have email addresses for all of them that you can certainly get in contact with them and ask them where they stand on different issues. Because this is, for you, this is where you get your voice. This is your voice for the select board. These are the fathers, to use that term, of the town. So those are the ones who lead all the boards, and they're the ones who do a lot of the appointments to committees. So you want to be familiar with those 5 that sit on that board. And this particular election, you're voting for 2. And the moderator runs our town meeting. It'd be nice to get yourself comfortable with him and just see where they stand. I'm sure they all have their own websites that you can find information on them. I don't have that kind of political stuff in our office because we are unbiased and we don't ask them those kind of things. But as a voter and an informed voter, you should find out who's running for these offices and what they're going to bring to that office. And you certainly can ask, especially your representative town meeting member. Those are the people that you can be able to say, hey, I saw, whatever number on the warrant that they're going to talk about this. This is my thoughts on it. And certainly throw that by them so that they have an idea of which way their constituents want them to vote. If you say nothing, they're just led with their own beliefs on how they feel. So they're looking for your input. They really are. So take advantage of that.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It was very informative.
This was very fun. I enjoyed doing this. This is great.